You expecting a man to take you on these ridiculous, extravagant first dates and pulling out all the stops and doing these grand gestures is not what is supposed to happen.
As women move into male-dominated professions, men move out of them. Subsequently, those professions start to get paid less as women become those professions.
So many women who are like, I absolutely refuse a date if a man doesn't take me here, 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 here.
Guys, every girl is different. Don't take me to no coffee date. Take me to a fancy restaurant and spend a bag on me. I would love that.
Hey guys, welcome back to More to Life. Before I get into this video, I ask that you like, comment, subscribe. Also, smash that notification bell just to be sure you get my videos as soon as I release them. Let's hop right into it.
You know what I think about often is the phenomenon called gender flight. And if you don't know what gender flight is, it's kind of like white flight. If you don't know what white flight is, it's the phenomenon that back in the day when integration was happening, as Black people started to move into white spaces, white people started to leave those spaces. A small example would be a neighborhood in which Black people moved into it, white people would move out, and then the value of the neighborhood would go down, which that's a whole other issue. Gender flight is the same phenomenon, but women and jobs and hobbies and basically anything we do, as we encroach into male spaces, men leave those spaces. If you take, for example, cheerleading, cheerleading used to be a male sport. And then as women moved into the sport, men left the sport, and then cheerleading got seen as less than, even though cheerleading is an extremely hard sport. An example to point to is nursing. Nursing used to be a male-dominated profession. And then women moved into the profession, men left the profession. And then subsequently, somehow we think of nurses as less than, and it's an easier job than doctors, and that's so definitely not true.
You assume too much.
Another example would be with STEM. STEM used to be entirely male-dominated, with most engineering students and most science students being men. For example, now we're seeing this with biology. Biology is now becoming 50% women and 50% men. Now biology is seen as the easiest of the STEM majors, and men are moving to engineering.
But do you think women's liberation is a good thing?
I'm very sceptical about some of the extremes it's carried to. I think women are in great danger of being dominated by women, being told to liberate themselves by doing what other women want them to do. That to me is a great danger.
Now what we're seeing is the same thing happening in my own space, which is architecture. Did you know that interior design used to be a male profession? And then women started becoming interior designers, and it got labeled as a homemaking hobby.
It's not that women moved into it. It's that it's oversaturated, right? When we moved into architecture, more and more women moved into it. And what happened is it turned into a field that most women desire. Every woman does want to be a homemaker, right? They move into architecture to try and increase their value. But when there's so many women in the market doing it, it becomes saturated. But you know what? Always go back to feminism. It's wrong because we're doing it. That's just not the case. Let me finish.
And truly a hobby, no longer a profession. If you don't believe me, look up William Morris. He's literally the father of interior design and a man. Today we're seeing that 50% of architects are men and 50% of architects are women. Now, the path to licensure is what's gatekeeping women from being equal to men. The path to licensure is also inherently racist, classist, and misogynistic, but we can go into that in another video. The point that I'm trying to make is as women move into male-dominated professions, men move out of them. Subsequently, those professions start to get paid less as women become those professions. Interior design gets paid less than architecture, and now licensed architects get paid more than just regular architects, even if you graduate with a master's degree. I don't really know what the solution is to something like this. I just find it interesting. It's kind of my Roman Empire, and I want to know your thoughts on it.
No comment. Any other questions?
I don't know if anybody felt that weird, right? She's doing her hair the whole time. The more and more she put the wig on, she looked like a male rock star. Doesn't she? I'm not trying to make fun of her, but it freaked me out. Next video.
Ooh, let's talk about this right here. I'm going to be the one to say it because I know a lot of people are not going to say it, but I 1000% agree with you, and this is why a lot of women are going to remain single. So, as someone who was in the dating scene for a long time, made a lot of mistakes, revamped, did some things, fell in love, got engaged, and is now with the love of my life, I've learned a lot of things about dating. But on TikTok, I see so many women with the most ridiculous expectations, especially for a first date, that is the exact reason why you are going to stay single. You expecting a man to take you on these ridiculous, extravagant first dates and pulling out all the stops and doing these grand gestures is not what is supposed to happen on a first date. Also, that's how you get caught into love bombing, which is a whole nother topic.
Woo! She said it. That's how you get caught up into love bombing, right? Where a guy feels like he's trying to please you. And that happens with a lot of guys because of don't take me to Cheesecake Factory. But let her finish, though. I think she's about to cook up some filet mignon.
Yeah, boy, oh, man.
Now, I am not talking about having high standards. Absolutely have high standards. Do not put the bar on the floor. That is not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is so many women who are like, I absolutely refuse a date if a man doesn't take me here, 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 here. Prime example, I see an infinite amount of TikToks of women proclaiming, if a man takes me on a coffee date, I refuse.
Some advice for men who want to date women. Literally, I just saw another TikToker on here talk about how she wants to go on a coffee date for a first date. And if a guy takes her to a fancy restaurant and spends a couple $100 on her, she's going to see that as a red flag because he's not good with money management. And all I have to say is, guys, every girl is different. Every girl wants something different, okay? Don't take me to no coffee date. Take me to a fancy restaurant and spend a bag on me. I would love that. But this other girl would not love that. And I can see how confusing things can get. Some girls want to go Dutch. They want to pay for themselves because they don't want to owe anybody. Girls like me, you paying for everything.
Which to me is just ridiculous because it shouldn't matter where you go on your first date. It is about the person you're going with, and do you connect, and do you even like spending time with them? It is not about the amount of money that someone spends on a first date. And I don't know how many women need to get it into their head that have this whole idea that a man needs to spend X amount of money on me on a first date or else I'm not giving him the time of day. And I hate to tell you, but you're going to remain single with that mindset in your head.
Exactly.
And again, as you're...
You know, I like that she's saying this. She didn't stick to these guns. She's about to get married. Oh, I think she is married. I forgot what she said. The women that are sticking to this aren't married. See the difference?
A friendly reminder, first dates are not where you pull out all the stops. The whole purpose of a first date is to meet in person, to see if you connect, to see if you vibe, and to see, hey, yes, I had a great time. I would like to do this again, or not. That is the...
Exactly. This is what it's about. And guys are looking for more women like her. And usually they have to leave. Sad, but very true. Let me hop on to the next video.
Mark my words, 10 years from now, there will be a scientific study that is published letting us all know that situationships give us brain damage. They absolutely give us brain damage. I think the scariest thing to me about modern dating is how unavoidable the situationship is. Like, I'm a pretty healthy person at this point in my life when it comes to, like, relating and dating and all of that stuff. And I still have, like, fallen into the situation trap, not once, but twice. And once you're in it, it's like, you're in it. You're in it. And then you got to get out. And then once you're out, then you just are never over it. You're never over it. I think there's an absolute psychological reason why situationships are so hard to get over. I know for myself, if I'm dating somebody and then we have a title, right? So we progress from dating to having a title for each other. And then from there we break up. Like, I can get over that scenario. Like, my brain can categorize it and make sense. But when you have all of these deep, intense, like, feelings for someone you have, like, a really, like, intense connection with, but that is never, like...
Now, guys, you hear the tone of her voice? She's going through it right now. She looked like she cried her eyes out then right after it turned on the camera, which is not a good thing to do. Let me let her finish, though.
Labeled or categorized, and then it ends. Like, I just feel like your brain doesn't know what to do with that information. I regularly have nightmares about the two people that I was in situationships with. Like, one of these people, oh my God, I hadn't seen them for like 2 years. I ran into them last week when I was out, and my nervous system freaked out. It was like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to deal with that. We don't want to deal with that. Even though I feel like once both of these situations I was in, like once I realized what it was and how unhealthy it was, like I ended it. But my brain, like psychologically, like my brain and my nervous system, like still aren't healed.
See, this is the problem, right? You see how she said 2 and the time frame she said? That shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening with anyone, but especially women, right? All the guys that's been in her, bad spirit, you see the nervousness, you see the color of the hair, which number 1 is a red flag, right? The nervousness, that's from too many dealings. That's what's wrong with modern women nowadays. Too many dealings corrupted them. She's dealing with so many spirits. Look at her, she's troubled. She has anxiety, so many different problems. I feel like I'm a psychiatrist, right? Looking at someone that's struggling. And that's what's happening. Most guys are psychiatrists, right? We have enough knowledge that's been given from spaces like this, right? That tell us, hey, look out for this, look out for that. So nowadays, YouTube is kind of like a men's study class. YouTube right now is us sitting down with someone to talk about our problems or explain things to us, kind of like therapy, right? It's like a therapy session, also a learning session. And you know what? Every man has learned. I've learned before. And for me, learning, you can clearly look at what's going on nowadays. You see all these reaction videos go, there's a problem. Facts. And you can break it down with her. Her problem, dealing with too many guys. And guys don't want to deal with that because that's one of those, congratulations, you played yourself. Next video.
The last one I went through the divorce, it's still, the divorce was final, but you don't realize how much aftermath there is to it, like literally this whole fight is still paying my ex, you know what I mean? And you're like, man, it's crazy. You have to get punched in the face and you work so hard and you do all this and you have to pay that much for something, and money's something that, okay, I'll fight here, I'll get it, whatever, winning or losing, everything's gonna be taken care of, I'll make more and stuff like that. But
yeah, so it's wild, man. When a woman has money, and it happens to women all the time, you get divorced, you're gonna get hit. Right? I was just watching yesterday with Lisa Ray. She was talking to TD Jakes. She said, I'm divorced and I'm not getting any money. Of course, because she was a superstar. And I love the part when TD Jakes said, so
He called.
it's true. Like, how TD Jakes probably thinking? So what? Men go through it all the time. That's why TD Jakes started speaking up for guys, right? Not necessarily. He's not making content like this. But that's why he said, so many women act like men because it's true, right? And her, I can't even, she's doing a male sport pretty much. Of course, it's a female sport. You can't say that. You guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, so many women nowadays are turning themselves into men. But then what's happening with her, now she has to pay the guy. Now, be honest with you, I'm a man. I necessarily wouldn't want a settlement after I get divorced from a woman. I would sign a prenup getting with somebody like that, right? I don't need your money. I want to make my own money. Some guys looking at this would say, Jay, what's wrong with you? I'm taking the money. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments because I'm curious to know how many guys would take that money. I just couldn't, right? I'll feel so disgusted. Not even now that I make this kind of content, just as a man. But yeah, guys, that's what's happening. And do I feel sorry for her? No, I don't, because men been going through it for so long. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. See y'all next video.